I love a book that's set in the Ottoman Empire because that's what Dracula was also based on, so I am very intrigued by this. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we're doing some anticipated releases for November and December. So these are some of the books that are coming out in the next couple months that I'm looking forward to getting my hands on eventually. Obviously these are not all the books that are coming out in November and December, but these are just some of the ones that were intriguing to me, so let's get on with this. I have the list in my phone. Should always be prepared more, but I never am. Anyway, hope you're all doing well. Let me know if you've got any books that you're really excited to get to in November and December. But for now, starting off with the 7th of November, there's actually 4 books coming out. I should say all these dates are based on like Goodreads, so it could be slightly different for different areas, but yeah, 4 books on the 7th of November, starting off with Gorgeous Gruesome Faces by Linda Cheng. And this, well, it got me intrigued because that's kind of an intriguing title, to be fair. The cover art seems really disturbing, but it says here, this is a speculative debut thriller that follows a disgraced teen idol who comes face to face with the demons of her past in a glittering cutthroat K-pop competition. I have to admit, I'm not massively into K-pop or anything like that. Okay, I'm not into K-pop, but it does sound interesting and I do want to try some more YA thrillers. And it says here, after a shocking scandal that abruptly ended her teen pop star career, 18-year-old Sunny Lee spends her days longing for her former life and cyber-stalking her ex-BFF and group mate Candy. The two were once inseparable, but that was then, before the tragedy and heartache they left in their wake. In the here and now, Sunny is surprised to discover that Candy is attending a new K-pop workshop in her hometown. Candy might be there chasing stardom, but Sunny can't resist the chance to join her family and finally confront the traumatic history, because she still can't figure out what happened the horrible night when Mina, the third in their tight-knit trio, jumped to her death, or if the dark and otherworldly secrets she and Candy were keeping had something to do with it. Sounds really creepy and really intriguing. This is something that I might pick up, like if I find it on sale somewhere. But I'm intrigued. I want to try more YA thrillers. They don't tend to be my favourite thing to read, but I'm sure there's some out there that I'm really going to love, so why not give this one a try? Then we have Bookshops and Bone Dust. Bone Dust? No. Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. This is the second book. Well, technically, actually, it's a prequel. First book was Legends and Lattes, and that is all about an orc who has decided to give up her fighting ways to open up a coffee shop in a place where people have never even heard of coffee. It is lovely, heartwarming and cozy. It's a really good time. I really enjoyed that book, and this is the prequel to all of that before. So there's a bit more stakes in it, a bit more fighting, I believe, led up to this decision to open up a coffee shop. So I'm really intrigued, really looking forward to it. That's coming out on the 7th of November. We also have on the 7th of November No One Left But You, which is a very similar cover to Gorgeous Gruesome Faces. This is by Tash McAdam, and this is again another thriller, but it's for fans of Sadie, which I loved. That was an audiobook that I listened to, and the best audiobook ever. I need to actually get a physical copy of that book. Absolutely fantastic, and that's why I decided to pick this one up, because that's what it said. About a trans teen swept up in a whirlwind friendship with lethal consequences. Newly out trans guy Max is having a hard time in school. Things have been tough since the summer romance Danny turned into his bully. This year his plan is to keep his head down and graduate. All that changes when new it girl Gloss moves to town. Oh, her name's Gloss. Oh, okay. No one understands why perfect polished Gloss is so interested in an introverted skater kid, but Max blooms in the hothouse of her attention. Caught between romance and obsession, he'll do whatever it takes to keep her on his side. After haircuts, makeovers, drugs, parties, it's all fun and games until someone gets killed at a rager gone terribly wrong. Max refuses to believe that Gloss did it, but if not Gloss, who? Desperate to figure out the truth in the wake of a tragedy, Max veers dangerously close to being implicated, and his own memories of that night are awfully fuzzy. It sounds interesting. I really liked Sadie, so that's the reason why I'm interested in this one, but we do seem to have a trend of faces on books this November. Then on 7th of November, the last one is Where He Can't Find You, and this is by Darcy Coates. Darcy Coates has written a few different things, but I don't think I've read, I haven't read any of them, and I don't own any of them, but this one really kind of called out to me. So, Don't Walk Alone, or The Stitcher Will Find You. Abby Ward lives in a town haunted by disappearances. People vanish, and when they're found, their bodies have been dismembered and sewn back together in unnatural ways. But is it the work of a human killer or something far darker? Don't stay out late or the Stitcher will take you. She and her younger sister live by a strict set of rules designed to keep them safe, which is why it's such a shock when hope is taken. Desperate to get her back, Abby tells the police everything she knows, but they claim their hands are tied. Don't close your eyes or the Stitcher will remake you. With every hour precious, Abby and her friends are caught in a desperate game of cat and mouse. They have to get Hope back quickly before too much of her is cut away and before everything they care about is swallowed up by the darkness waiting in the tunnels beneath the home they thought they knew. It sounds really, really good. I really like this, and definitely if I like this I'm going to look into more of Darcy Coates' book. This sounds so good, like with that darker gothic element and questioning whether things are supernatural or whether it's just a human being the monster. Like I'm so excited, and I really like the idea of this Stitcher. It's just really calling out to me. I definitely think out of all the ones on the 7th, like don't get me wrong, I do want to read Bookshops and Bone Dust, but I'll probably get that when I'm in that cozy fantasy mood. But this is the one that at this moment in time I'm really, really feeling. Probably because I'm filming this at the beginning of October and I'm so excited for all the spooky read, but that is one that I'm really looking forward to. Then something a little bit more light-hearted. On the 9th of November we have Emmett by Lev A.C. Rosen. This is a modern day gay young adult Emma, which is Jane Austen's Emma. I mean, that just sounds really good to me. I really loved Emma by Jane Austen. It's actually one of my favourite Jane Austen books. So much fun. It was just so light and silly and just ridiculous. It was a really fun time to read, and so I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this and having that take on it, so having the influence but changing it so it's modern day and gay, and it just sounds really fun. So we have Emmett Woodhouse, handsome, clever and rich with a comfortable home and happy disposition, seem to unite some of the best lessons of existence and have lived nearly 18 years in the world with very little to distress or vex him. Emmett knows he's blessed, and because of that he tries to give from charity work to let in the often irritating Georgia sit at his table at lunch. He knows it's important to be nice, and recently he's found a new way of giving matchmaking. He's set up his best friend Taylor with her new boyfriend, and it's gone perfectly. So when his occasional friend with benefits, Harrison, starts saying he wants a boyfriend, something Emmett definitely does not want to be, he decides to try and find Harrison the perfect man at Highbury Academy, the candy-coloured private school they attend just outside Los Angeles. Emmett's childhood friend Miles thinks finding a boyfriend for a guy you sleep with is a bad idea, but Miles is straight and Emmett says this is gay life. Your friends, your lovers, your boyfriends, they all come from the same very small pool. That's why Emmett doesn't date, to keep things clean. He knows the human brain isn't done developing until 25, so any relationship he enters into before then would inevitably end in breakup, in loss. And he's seen what loss can do. His mother died 4 years ago and his dad hasn't been the same since. Modern and very gay, with a charming lead who is convinced he knows it all, the occasional references to the classic movie Clueless, Emmett will bring you lush romance, all while exploring the complexities of queer culture. It sounds really fun. I haven't seen the film Clueless, but I love Emma, and even just from the synopsis you can see the correlations between Emma and this book, and I think it's just going to be a perfect light fun read. To be quite honest, I think I'm probably going to save this for like a spring, end of spring, beginning of summer read, but it's definitely one I've got my eye on and one that I will be picking up for that time. I just think it sounds absolutely amazing, just so fun, you know. So then on the 14th of November we have another 4 books that are coming out. To be quite honest, I've only got a handful of books for December that I'm actually interested in. Most of these are in November, but the 14th of November we've got quite a lot going on. So we've got Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Lord, and this is by Celeste Connolly, and this is Bridgerton meets Agatha Christie. Can you see why I was interested? That sounds freaking amazing. So we have Lady Petra. Lady Petra's fiance and soulmate dies just weeks ahead of their wedding. She makes the shocking proclamation in front of the London's loosest lips, and that she will never remarry. A woman of independent means, Petra sees no reason to cede her wealth and freedom to any man now that the love of her life has passed, nor does she intend to become confined to her country home. Instead, she uses her title to gain access to elite spaces and enjoy the best of society without expectations. But when the ballroom gossip suggests that a longtime friend has died of melancholia while in the care of the questionable physician, Petra vows to use her status to dig deeper, uncovering a private asylum where men pay to have their wives and daughters locked away or worse. Just as Lady Petra has reason to believe her friend is not dead but a prisoner, Her own headstrong actions and thirst for independence are used to put her own freedom in jeopardy. This sounds really good. It's that bottom bit that really... So obviously the tagline of Agatha Christie, yeah, I was sold, I was interested. And then when I was reading the synopsis, obviously in preparation for this video, it's that bottom bit that really was like, oh, this could be so interesting, because we do have the private asylum and that being used by men to put their wives and daughters who they find unruly in there. And that's very similar to a book that I read that was translated from French, The Mad Woman's Ball, and I loved it. One of my favourite books. So underrated, it's ridiculous, but I really enjoyed that. And so I'm looking forward to how this is going to explore that with, I'm imagining it's going to be a lighter read at the same time because of the Agatha Christie influence. Definitely intrigued for this one. Think it's going to be a good time. Then we have The Narrow Road Between Desires, and this is by Patrick Rothfuss. Now, I love Patrick Rothfuss, don't get me wrong. However, let me get the book. The Narrow Road Between Desires is actually just a reworking of a short story Patrick Rothfuss wrote in this collection, which is the Rogues collection, edited by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois, which I did enjoy, and it's the reason why I even collected this edition, is just for that short story. And it was called The Lightning Tree, I believe. Let me get the title. The Lightning Tree. It was only a short story. It was only 68 pages long, but I enjoyed it. It was looking at a character that you meet in Name of the Wind, and it was just exploring their story. As I was really excited when a new book was coming out by Patrick Rothfuss. Didn't care that it wasn't the final book that we've been waiting for in the trilogy, but was really looking forward to just exploring more in this world. However, I then found out it's just a reworking of this story. Will I still get it? Yes, because I do love Patrick Rothfuss. It'll be really interesting to see how he's reworked it, but it is a bit disappointing because unless it's reworked into a much longer book, as in something similar to, I should have just got it, The Slow Regard of Silent Things, which is what I'm kind of expecting The Narrow Road Between Desires to be. This is a short novella, absolutely beautiful, with gorgeous illustrations in it, looking at one of the side characters, but it was only like 150 pages long. I don't mind that if The Lightning Tree gets reworked into a longer story, but I am wanting at least 100 odd pages of this to have been made into like a fully fleshed out novella. If it's just another short 60 pages, I think I'll be really disappointed. I still want to get it to try. Like, I love Patrick Rothfuss, and yes, I've been waiting for absolute years for that third and final book. Do I think we're going to get it? No. But him bringing out something more in this world, I am intrigued for. I just hope it's more than just the short story that's in this. And no, I have not given details of any of this. I think if you know Name of the Wind, then you already know about this short story coming out, The Narrow Road Between Desires. If you don't know and you haven't read Name of the Wind, then I don't think there's much point in reading The Narrow Road Between Desires because it's expanding on a side character, so you would have to read the first book anyway. So this is definitely more for the fans that are already there, but yeah, I don't know what to expect from it, and so I have reserved feelings, and we're gonna see how it goes from there. Okay, moving on, we have The Favourites by Rosemary Hennigan. I'm just intrigued by it. I don't know whether it's going to be like a dark academia-esque book, but there's enough in the synopsis that makes me think it could possibly be, so of course, already intrigued. This is a edgy feminist campus novel about justice, gender and power, following a woman who enrolls in law school and competes her way into an elite law and literature cohort to get revenge on the charismatic professor who wronged her sister. Sounds really good, actually. I really like that. So most students would kill to be accepted into the prestigious law and literature cohort at Franklin University, but for Jessie, enrollment into the course is more than elite campus status, rigorous thought and professional connections. It's her chance to get close to her charismatic professor, Jay, and take him down. From the moment she discovered their secret relationship, Jessie's been convinced Crane is to blame, so Jay is to blame for the events leading to her sister's death. Still haunted by the last email exchange, you know what you did, she'll cross any line to hold him accountable. But when Jessie finally earns Crane's trust and the coveted position as one of his favourites, attracting the other students' envy and suspicion, the truth becomes darkly twisted. Is it justice Jessie craves or revenge? And what does she stand to lose if she gets her way? It sounds really good, and I like this sort of book. like this sort of setting, the revenge plot line and that, it all does sound pretty good. So I'm looking forward to getting that one as well. Then we have Wish of the Wicked, and this is by Danielle Page. I liked this cover. I thought it was really nice. This has given me young adult vibes. Says for fans of Bridget Chimera and Maleficent, which I've seen Maleficent and I liked that. So for centuries, the enchanted members of Entante have worked in tandem with the three fates, the present, the past and the future, to maintain destiny across the 13 queendoms. But when Queen Margaret learns of her untimely demise from Hecate, fate of the future, Margaret burns Hecate at the stake and decrees death to all Entante in order to live forever. But some survive, including 16-year-old Pharaoh, who hatches a dangerous plan to seek revenge. Along the way, she finds herself falling for the one person who could ruin everything. With life and love hanging in the balance, she must decide who to trust and what's most important, living in the past or forging a new future. I just think this sounds really fun. It's definitely got those classic YA trope, the chosen one, the romance and everything, but I also like the twist on having the fates involved. I think that's going to be really fun, having like the present, past and future. I think that's all going to be really good, so I like this. And I do enjoy a nice light YA read to break up some of the other books that I'm reading. I think they're just really fun and always a good thing to have on hand, so this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to getting my hands on. Then on the 21st of November we have Defiant, which is the 4th Skyward novel by Brandon Sanderson. I've read the first two and I really liked it, and my mum's also read them. I need to actually get the short story collection, which is the Skyward Flight, because you're meant to read that before reading the 3rd book, and then I will get the 4th book. I won't get the 4th book as soon as it comes out because I have them all in paperback, so I will be waiting for the paperback release. But this is just a YA sci-fi that I really enjoyed. I don't read loads of sci-fi, but this is a sci-fi series that I find really fun. We're following Spencer, who wants nothing more than to be a fighter pilot, but her father was seen as a coward, which is the worst thing that you can be, because we're on a planet that is not Earth, but it's where the last of humankind has been kind of taken refuge in, and they are constantly up against this alien species that's constantly trying to wipe them out. And so being a fighter pilot is the most prestigious thing. As a result, being a coward is the worst thing that you can be. And so her mother and Spencer herself has been ostracized. They're treated really badly because of this, and everyone thinks, well, you're never gonna make it as a fighter pilot, but she proves them wrong and she becomes a fighter pilot. And I really like the way it all expands. I love Brandon Sanderson's writing anyway, and this is just a really fun read. Definitely something I need to read. Maybe I'll make that a goal for 2024, is to finish that series. And you get connected to an aeroplane and a slug, and it's so silly, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked those characters, so I definitely need to get that short story collection and continue on. And hopefully by the time I've probably reread and continued on, this 4th book should be out in paperback by then as well, so I can just wrap that up. So yeah, plans for 2024, I think. Okay, so then we have on the 28th of November, Kingdom of Without, which, can I remember what this is about? No. Okay, so this is by Andrea Tang. I like the cover, kind of giving me like steampunk-esque vibes, but cyber, that's what I'm looking for, cyberpunk vibes. There we go. Anyway, it says here, and the reason why I was interested in it is because it's an alternate history Beijing in a Les Miserables inspired young adult cyberpunk. And that's what gets me really interested, is because, you know, Les Miserables, that sounds really good. So I'm really intrigued to see how they're gonna use that as a base to then put it into cyberpunk. I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about the cyberpunk setting. I don't necessarily read things that are like cyberpunk. So I guess we're going to see if that works for me. I feel like this one's going to be like taking me outside my comfort zone. But we're following Zong, and when Zong takes the job, she expects a smash and grab burglary she's doing to make rent and help out a friend. What she doesn't expect is a sad-eyed army boy who dreams of insurrection, a former rebel leader trapped inside a secret lab, a group of aspiring revolutionaries who are the first collaborators, then compatriots, and then perhaps friends. But this is Beijing nearly 150 years after General Yun successfully declared himself emperor in 1915. His ascendants ruled the country from their seat in the imperial city. The Grand Marais Beijing army run the streets, aided by cyborgs and the Brigade Guard. I mean, it's gonna be it's going to be interesting. I don't know what I'm going to think about this book because of those cyber elements, but I'm willing to give it a try, and hopefully I like it more than Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, because I feel like they might have a similar setting to one another, so we'll see if I get on with it or not. But this one's definitely more outside the comfort zone. And then we move into December, so we have The Ruin on the 5th of December, which is by Renee Ahdieh. This is a book that I've been waiting for a while now. I've read the first 3 books, starting off with The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. Absolutely loved it. It's a vampire-esque book. Not many people enjoyed the fact that the vampires weren't like a prominent figure. It was more in the atmosphere and the way it was written, and it was really dark and seductive. I loved it. Then the second book takes a turn and we get a lot more different supernatural creatures, a lot more different things happening, and the world definitely expands. And I wasn't sure if I liked it, to be honest. The Beautiful was still my favourite so far out of the 3 that I've read. I did prefer the 3rd book to the 2nd book. I'm enjoying it. We're starting to follow different characters in each book as well that we do meet in The Beautiful, but they're just focused, so we have different main characters. And yeah, this is The Ruined. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's the 4th book. We'll see how it goes from there. I really enjoyed the 1st book, the setting, New Orleans. It was so good, so dark and decadent, and really, really well done. So I'm intrigued to see how this is going to wrap up. We have been waiting on this one for a while. I feel like this book's been pushed back a couple times. I could have that wrong, but yeah, I was expecting it, I think maybe like a year or 2 ago, and it never actually came out. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this one regardless, see how it ends up, but I do think it's going to be a case of the 1st book in the series is going to be my favourite, but I'm still invested enough that I want to read this 4th book. Okay, then we take a bit of a jump to the 20th of December with The Court of the Undead by F.M. Aiden. This is a stunningly dark fantasy novel set during the rise of the Ottoman Empire, which of course I am intrigued by. I love a book that's set in the Ottoman Empire because that's what Dracula was also based on, so I am very intrigued by this. But let's read the actual synopsis. From a young age, Yara and her sister Aylin grew up on tales of the vampire whispered to them in the dark by their superstitious nursemaid. It isn't until the fateful day Yara is kidnapped and brought to the fortress of the Undying King that she realises that she is far from the safety of the Ottoman court. Tucked up into the high mountains of Wallachia, the court of the undead is home to the true-born vampire, their sired vampire flock, and their miserable horde of blood slaves. When Aylin joins a group of trained hunters to bring her sister back home, Yara finds herself trapped between a set of beautiful and manipulative twin brothers who intend to use her for their own amusement. Caught between the free-spirited and obsessive Vulcan and the power-hungry and villainous Elder, Yara must betray them both if she ever hopes to make it home alive. I'm really intrigued by this. I think it's going to be a really good, dark, decadent book. And of course, I love the idea of it being set in the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Ticks all the boxes for me, sounds really good. And then the last book that I'm talking about is Ruthless Vows, which comes out on December 26th, which is the sequel to Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. And I'm very excited about this one. I really enjoyed Divine Rivals. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. I read it as an ebook and I ended up falling in love with it. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed the writing of it, the setting. This is a book that is set at a time of, I think it's World War II. We have obviously the World War going on, but instead of it being against different countries, we've got it against different gods and goddesses, and we have people that are being conscripted in to fight against, depending on what side you're on. We have our main character and she decides to be a war correspondent because she's searching for her brother who was conscripted and she's not heard from him since. We also have a bit of a love story going on. It is so well done. I really enjoyed this, so much more than what I thought I was going to. Like, I didn't think it would be my kind of thing, and then I loved it. However, I do want to get the US covers. Like this one, Ruthless Vows, looks really nice. I don't like the UK covers, so that's definitely something I'm going to be doing for Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows eventually. But yeah, I really am looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be lovely, and they did actually push the release date of this forward because of the amount of people that were really excited to get it and to read it, because Divine Rivals did, I think, a lot better than what they was expecting. But it's just, it's so good, absolutely beautiful. I do wish I had the Illumicrate edition of Divine Rivals because I think that book is stunning. Alas, that was not meant to be, and no one's paying that price to get that. Yeah, once you miss those and people do resell their books from their book boxes, it's so expensive, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this video. So as I said at the start, let me know what books are you looking forward to that's coming out in November and December, and definitely let me know more books that you know of that's coming out in December, because I struggled to find books that are coming out in December, whether it's because they're just not ones that I'm interested in, because they tend to be a lot more like holiday romances and stuff, and I'm not as keen into that. Regardless, there is a lot of good books coming out that I'm intrigued to try, and I did add in a few extra YA thrillers, which, while not normally my cup of tea of a genre, is definitely something I want to dabble in a bit more. Anyway, let's leave it there. This has been, I feel like this releases video has been longer than my usual ones. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I need a drink. We're gonna go out and do some food shopping and get some lunch as well. But I will catch you all in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far, then let's put a... Is there a typewriter emoji in the comments below for Ruthless Vows? I don't know if there is. If there's not, like, do a pen or something like that. And we'll leave it there. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please remember to give it that thumbs up, subscribe, and comment. Those 3 things really help this channel grow. My social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.